I'm excited to talk to you about John 21, John chapter 21. The last time we saw Jesus, he was in John 11. That's what we looked at last week in our study of the miracles. And this morning we are now in John chapter 21. Jesus has already died on the cross. He has already been raised from the dead. And what we're looking at is one of many post-resurrection appearances that Jesus makes. If you look at John 20, verses 30 and 31, you see what is sometimes referred to as the purpose of John's gospel. In fact, in my Bible, that's the little heading. Over verse 30 of John 20, it says, "The purpose of this book." You've gone through all the signs, 7 signs. You've gone through 7 sayings. I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the good shepherd. We're not studying the Gospel of John per se. We're looking at miracles of Jesus and seeing the main reason why he performed each miracle. It wasn't just simply to help somebody out. It was to show people he is the Christ. And that's what we come to here at the end of the Gospel of John. John 20, 30, and 31. You can quote these verses with me, can't you? Many other signs Jesus performed in the presence of his disciples that are not written in this book, in this Gospel. But these have been written that you might what? Believe. That verb occurs 100 times in the Gospel of John. The concept of faith or belief. That you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing, you may have life in his name. That's it. We're done with the Gospel of John. And then we come to chapter 21. Remember how it's often said that the Gospel of John begins with a prologue. John 1, verses 1 through 18. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. So if you have a prologue to a book, what are you probably also going to have? An epilogue. And that's what this is. John 21 is the epilogue. We're done with the story, but there's still some unfinished business. And that's what we're going to look at right now in Lesson 7, entitled The Catch of 153 Fish. This is how John 21 begins. After this, Jesus revealed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. And he revealed himself in this way. Simon Peter, Thomas, called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 others of his disciples were together. Let's just stop there. Who are these people? How are they connected with Jesus? Peter and Thomas and some of these others here. Apostles is what we would call them. Apostles. That's how we see them referred to often in the Scriptures. Nathanael. Who do we think Nathanael probably is? Here in the Gospel of John, he's called Nathanael. Probably in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, it's the same person as, starts with a B, Bartholomew. That he's closely connected with Philip. Probably this is another apostle. So we've got Simon Peter, Thomas, who just doubted Jesus in chapter 20, doubting Thomas as we call him. And yet he still asked for the same sign that the apostles had been privy to. Seeing Jesus, the imprint of his hands and the nail in his hands and in his side. So doubting Thomas. Nathanael, possibly Bartholomew. The sons of Zebedee, who are they? James and John. So how many apostles is that then so far? We've got 5. 2 others of his disciples, don't know who they are. Potentially 7 apostles of Jesus. Why are they going fishing? Why aren't they waiting for Jesus? Well, they've been waiting for Jesus. He appeared to them that first Sunday. He appeared to them the next Sunday, and that's in John 20. There were other appearances that Jesus made. How long it's been since that previous time, we don't know. But Jesus makes this special appearance to 7 apostles. And notice what Peter says. Simon Peter says, I'm going fishing. And what do some of the other guys say? We're going with you. It's kind of like last night. We lost power. And we kept saying, it's going to come back on, it's going to come back on. And it never came back on. It came on this morning after I had already left and come here. And so I said, I'm going to the church building because there's power there and air conditioning. And my wife said, I'm going too. And my kids said, we're going too. So we came back here. I sat in the lounge in the air conditioning for an hour or so and then went back home. Our poor dogs were devastated. Where are you going? We're going to die. All right, so Peter is the natural leader of the 12. And these guys say, oh, you're going, we're going too. Is that what they were supposed to be doing? Supposed to be waiting for Jesus. I don't know that it was wrong of them necessarily to go fishing. But it almost sounds as if they're returning to what they had always been doing. I don't know if that's necessarily being implied here in this passage. They're just waiting for Jesus. And they go fishing. They go fishing. All right. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to read through verse 8 so that I stop interrupting. Verse 3, Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. They said to him, we will go with you. They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just as day was breaking, Jesus stood on the shore. Yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. That's important. Jesus said to them, children, do you have any fish? They answered him, no. He said to them, cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some. So what did they do? They cast it on the other side. They did this because, I'm stopping now, I'm sorry. They did this because they know this is Jesus and they want to do what the Lord says. No, what do we just see? They don't know it's Jesus. What does that mean? What does it mean? I mean, they've been with Jesus for over 3 years. How could they not know it was Jesus? Because somehow he has disguised himself. Maybe they had COVID too and he had a mask on and they just couldn't tell. No. You see this in John 20 when Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene. And she doesn't know it's Jesus until he says her name. And then she just realizes this is him. She thought he was the gardener for the groundskeeper for the Joseph of Arimathea's funeral grounds. In Luke 20, is it Luke 22, Luke 23, the road to Emmaus, the two on the road to Emmaus, Jesus didn't let them know who he was. We're told specifically. Why is Jesus doing that? Why is he disguising himself? Is he just toying with people? I'm gonna show them a trick here. He's helping to build their faith, isn't he? And I think that's going on here too. Okay, so Jesus gives some nice fisherman advice. Hey, what you ought to do is cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you'll find some. And they say, what do you know? Well, for whatever reason, they go ahead and do it. They cast it, and then what happens? They cast it on the right side of the boat, and they were not able to haul it in because of the quantity of fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved, therefore, said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he was stripped for work, and threw himself into the sea. The other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, about 100 yards off. Peter doesn't even wait for the boat to get back to shore. He just jumps in and swims to shore. He is so excited to see Jesus. All right, who is this disciple whom Jesus loved? Okay, so we're saying this is the author of the Gospel of John. And this is a miracle, isn't it? How many fish did they catch? We know this exact number from verse 11. 153 fish. I think that's a miracle in itself, that we would know the exact number. I don't know if there's some symbolism here with the 153. There's been some speculation about the symbolism. I don't know. It may be they're just saying it was a lot of fish. This is how many fish it was. Do you think this is a fish story? We caught 153 fish when they only caught 12. You know, what's the saying? I fish, therefore I lie. It was this big. So they caught these fish miraculously. All right. This is a miracle. It's a remarkable miracle. And it sounds a lot like another miracle. I want you to go back to Luke 5. I'm always speculative when comparisons can be made between one gospel and another, because Luke didn't write Luke so that we would compare it with Matthew and Mark. I don't believe that's true. John may be different, though, because John seems to have been written after the other three Gospels. There are events that are important that are never mentioned in the Gospel of John, such as the institution of the Lord's Supper. He has totally different perspective on that night when Jesus was betrayed, and has a lot more detail than the others do. And I wonder if John's Gospel was written after the fact, after the other three. That's speculation. I don't know. There are a lot of folks who think that's true. Does John, the author of the Gospel of John, know about this incident here in Luke 5? Yes. How would he know about it? Because he was there. How does he know Luke wrote about this? I don't know for sure, but let me stop talking about it and just jump to the chase. Luke 5, verses 3 through 11. Getting into one of the boats, which was Simon's, Jesus asked him to put out a little from the land, and he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch." And Simon answered, this is Peter, "Master, we toiled all night and took nothing." Ding, 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 ding. What does that sound like? What we just read in John 21. "But at your word I will let down the nets." And when they had done this, they enclosed a large number of fish. It doesn't say 153, it doesn't say how many. And their nets were breaking. And they had to signal to their partners in the other boat to come. And the boats began to fill and they began to sink. They're so heavy, they've got so many fish. When Simon Peter saw it, when he saw this miracle, he fell down at Jesus' feet saying, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish that they had taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. And Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on, you will be catching men." And when they had brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him. Every time I look at John 21, I think of Luke 5 and vice versa. Look at Luke 5 and I think of what's going to happen in John 21. Obviously, the events at John 21 are after Jesus' ministry. It's shortly before he's going to ascend to heaven. It's the end. It's at the end. Luke 5 is at the beginning of Jesus' ministry. He hasn't even chosen the 12 apostles yet. It's that early. And here he has had a relationship with Peter, but now it's really starting to grow. And we could spend some time looking at Peter's response in verse 8. I love what he says. "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." He is overwhelmed with the greatness of Jesus, who has just performed this incredible miracle. But then you go to John 21, and it's the same thing. And by the way, there in John 21, who is the one who first said, "That guy? That's Jesus"? Who was it that said that? It was the disciple whom Jesus loved. All right. That's interesting, isn't it? Why does Jesus perform miracles? To help out the apostles economically so that they can go get the fish and then sell the fish? Is that the reason? To build their faith. That's what we have seen with every one of these miracles. We're in lesson 7 now. As you know, there's a lot more miracles that we could have looked at, but we're just looking at these. So you see the comparison. Both miracles, Luke 5, John 21, are at the Sea of Galilee. You've got some of the same people involved. In John 21, you've got 3 more disciples besides these 4. Well, actually, Andrew's not named, and I just assume he's one of the ones, but I don't know that. Why wouldn't Andrew be with his brother and James and John? They fished all night and caught nothing. And then some guy comes along and gives them fishing advice. How many of you are fishermen? Do you know anything about fishing? A little bit? Do you ever go out and not catch anything? You do? So what if I was there with you? What if I was in my kayak and I was kind of laughing at you and say, "You haven't caught anything. This is what you need to do." Would you want to listen to my advice? Why would you not want to listen to my advice? What I've been doing is not working. What I've been doing is nothing. I don't know how to fish. In fact, whenever I fish, all I come back with is an empty hook. The fish just laugh at me. They take what I put on the hook, or somebody else put on for me, and I'm just not very good at that sort of thing. So these guys are professional fishermen. Here's somebody giving them advice, and they take it. That doesn't seem likely, but that's what they did. In the first case, it's Jesus. In the second time, they don't know who this guy is. Or they're just desperate. Now, in the Luke 5 passage, what fishermen would do is they would fish at night, because that's when the pools of fish were there. And in Luke 5, Jesus said, put out your net into the deep and let down your nets. What fishermen would do in that day and time is fish at night in the shallow water. And that's when they would catch their fish. Jesus is telling them to do the exact opposite. It's during the day and go into the deep water. So this was an act of faith. All right, enough on that. Let's get back to John 21. John 21. I want to talk about what happens next. Again, this is the epilogue to the Gospel of John. It's just delightful. It's just really wonderful. Verse 9. When they got out on land, they saw a charcoal fire in place, with fish laid out on it and bread. I don't know if Jesus got fish and bread from them, or if he already had it. I don't know. Jesus said to them, bring some of the fish that you have just caught. So I suppose not. Jesus already had his own fish. Verse 11. So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore full of large fish, 153 of them. And although there were so many, here's another miracle, I suppose. The net was not torn. Jesus said to them, come and have breakfast. So it's not just Peter here. Now none of the disciples dared ask him, who are you? They knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and so with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus was revealed to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. Just an addendum on verse 14. This is not the only time in the other Gospels, looking at all four of them together, that Jesus had appeared. But in the Gospel of John, this is now the third time. Making an appearance to Mary Magdalene. I don't know, I guess that's counted as the first one. All the apostles. I think what it's counting is all the apostles except Thomas. So the 10 in the first part of John 20. The following Sunday, it would have been the apostles with Thomas. And now this would be number 3. That's what that would be. There are other appearances that Jesus made to disciples. So they haven't seen Jesus very much, is what John is suggesting to us. It's a charcoal fire. Have we seen a charcoal fire before in the Gospel of John? Yes. Where? John 18, verse 18. How'd you know that? Okay. It's on the screen. Charcoal fire. I made a charcoal fire yesterday. Have you made one lately, Reuben? Absolutely. Charcoal fire. How many other times is the word charcoal mentioned in the Gospel of John? Just take a guess. 0. The first time we saw reference to a charcoal fire, Peter was in the courtyard of Caiaphas while Jesus was being tried in the middle of the night, the wee hours of the night. And Peter was there warming his hands at a charcoal fire. Now when we come to John 21, it mentions specifically, this is not just a fire, this is a charcoal fire. Do you think that's important? Boy, I like James. He agrees with everything I'm saying. This is great. I do think that is significant for us to see. And sometimes we don't place as much importance on location or names of places. Remember in John 5 and John 9, the names of the pools, one sent, or they had significance. I'm trying to think of the pool of Bethesda, John 5, but I digress. Here you have this charcoal fire, and Jesus is eating with them, and then we keep going. We keep going. Verse 15. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, feed my lambs. He said to him a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. He said to him, tend my sheep. He said to him the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Listen to this. Peter was grieved when he said, when he answered. I just lost my place there. Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me? And Peter then said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. What is going on here? Why is Jesus asking Peter this question 3 separate times? Arlie, I got your hand? Are you willing to sacrifice your whole life for me? Okay. Why did Jesus need to do that 3 times, though? Okay, I got hands over here who are now disappointed that you gave the right answer. Is that what you were going to say, Melanie? So let's think about this. And if you have something to add to this remark, I think everybody was coming up with the answer and saying, yeah, I got the answer. The charcoal fire. When Peter denied 3 times that he knew who Jesus was. And now Jesus is giving Peter a chance to take back those denials at a charcoal fire. And I don't think this is a private exchange. We're never told that the other disciples said, okay, guys, we're going to leave you all alone, let you have some private time. Doesn't say that. When Jesus asks him, Simon, do you love me more than these? That's what he asked the first time. And then the next 2 times, he only asked him, Simon, do you love me? What are the these? Do you love me more than these? The disciples. Do you love me more than these disciples, other disciples? Maybe it's going back to what Arlie was saying. Do you love me more than fishing? It's ambiguous. We're not told exactly who he's referring to. What do you think he's referring to? Besides maybe the other disciples, and I think that's a very real possibility. Fishing in general, your old lifestyle. If Jesus asked you that question, do you love me more than these? What would he be getting at? What is it that you love that's keeping you from serving him wholeheartedly? No volunteers? Nobody wants to answer? I'm not going to either. You may be aware. Oh, I got a hand? Yes, ma'am. Okay, we're just about to talk about that. Okay. All right, so he is really trying to put pressure on him, not just for this moment, but for the future. For the future. All right, and what Sandy was also alluding to is how when Jesus asked the question, do you love me? And you all know this. He is using the verb for agapao, agape love. When Peter answers, though, what verb does he use? Phileo. Not phileo fish. Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And I've studied this and I've wondered, is there a difference? Is that what John is doing here? John especially, he will use a lot of terms that mean the same thing. He'll have little different words for knowing. And we go, well, in this sense it means really knowing, and I don't know. The grand conclusion is I don't know if John is wanting us to see a nuanced difference here. I was thinking I had notes on that in my Bible, that it was bringing that out. But in this one, I don't. Some Bibles may bring that out. And I don't know if it's significant that the first two times Jesus uses agape, agapao, Simon, do you love me? But we all know that word agape. We all know that means love. And then you've got this brotherly love, philosophy, the love of wisdom. That's what that word literally means. Here we've got a brotherly type love. I don't know. But what Jesus is driving at here in this first question is, I need you to make a decision. Am I really what's most important to you or not? And Sandy says, hey, I know this passage. Let's keep going. Let's take a look now at verses 18 through 19. And by the way, look at Jesus' answers. What does he mean when he says, feed my lambs, feed my sheep? What does he mean by that? Okay, take care of who? His other disciples. Remember when Jesus was telling Peter, Satan has demanded, this is in Luke's account, Satan has demanded to sift you like wheat, but when you are restored, what did Jesus want Peter to do? Ma'am? Strengthen your brothers. It's as if Jesus knew, one, Peter, you're going to fall, and he did. Two, Peter was going to come back. And three, he says, you got work to do. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think there is significance to when Jesus refers to Peter as Simon. Who named him Peter, by the way? Jesus did. When he saw him, he says, your name's going to be Peter. And you'll hear this in a sermon, so just forget you heard about it here, first time. And maybe you've heard this before. John MacArthur, in his study on the apostles, brought this out. When Tommy Lasorda had this scrawny left-hander named Oral Hershiser. I mean, he's just some country boy out there with an incredible southpaw arm. And he would have the announcer talk about this very gentle young man. And he said, and now pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers, it's Oral. What did he say? Man alive, I just messed it up. Bulldog. Oral Bulldog Hershiser. Yeah, all right. And eventually, in the 1980s, he just had an incredible Cy Young season. They won the World Series. What was Tommy Lasorda trying to do to this young man by calling him the Bulldog? Build up his confidence and say, this is what I expect out of you. What was Jesus saying to Simon, which is a shortened version of Simeon, the Aramaic or Hebrew name, when he says, Peter, you are rock. That's your name. What's he trying to say? When people refer to Dwayne Johnson as the Rock, what are they trying to say about him? He's humongous, he's big, powerful. What was Jesus trying to say about Peter? By saying, you are Simon, you are the Rock. Okay, so Jesus has great expectations for this diamond in the rough. And what's interesting, I can't say this is always absolutely true in my cursory study, but whenever you start seeing the word Simon for Peter, or Simon Peter, it seems that they are denoting, there's Peter again, with weakness of faith. And Jesus is trying to coax him, or the gospel authors. When Peter messes up, he's very often referred to as Simon or Simon Peter in the Gospels. When he's doing good, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. It's Peter. Peter saying that. I don't know absolutely if that's true. But we need to get to verses 18 and 19 before Sandy says, hey, what are you doing? You're taking too long. And I am. Verses 18 and 19. After these three confessions, I love you, I love you, I love you, Lord, you know that I love you, verses 18 and 19, Jesus says to Peter, truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go. And then we've got this parenthetical statement in verse 19. This he said to show by what kind of death he was to glorify God. And after saying this, Jesus said to Peter, he said to him, follow me. The first time when somebody came up to Peter and said, hey, aren't you one of his disciples? What was Peter's response? Who? Huh? No, I don't know this guy. Did you say Jesus? No, I don't know him. Even called down curses on himself. I don't know who the man is. The next time Peter found himself in a difficult situation, people are accusing him. Are you a disciple of Jesus or not? What do you think his answer was going to be that time? Yes. Has that ever happened to you where you mess up your response, or you don't even make a response? Josh says something smart to me, and I go, and I walk off, and then I think of this great thing I could have said to him that would have really made him look funny. But of course, it's after the fact that it's not any good anymore. And it probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Okay, all right, I'll text you later. You remember when we had that conversation? I believe Peter learned. I think he grew up. What is Jesus saying here, by the way, in verse 18? What is he basically telling Peter? What's going to happen to him at the end of his life? He's going to die a martyr's death. Do you see that? In 2 Peter, Peter even talks about that. He even talks about Jesus revealing to him that this was going to happen. All right, for a few minutes, I want to make some application. This miracle, the catch of 153 fish, is it about fish? What is it about? It's about restarting. It's about going back to the beginning. It's about giving Peter another chance. When we warm our hands at the enemy's fire and we mess up, we blow it, what are we going to have the opportunity to do? Always. What is God always going to let us do? Take back our failure. Early, and we're going to other Gospels now, but earlier in the night Jesus was betrayed, Jesus said, Peter, or he said to all the apostles, you're gonna leave me. No one's going to stand with me. And Peter's the one who says, what? Even if I must die with you, I will not deny you. All these others may, but not me. And of course, we give Peter a hard time, but look at what the rest of Matthew 26, verse 35 says. All the disciples said the same. Oh, no, Lord, no, we're not going to leave you. And then years later, a much more mature apostle, Peter, said this. I think it right, as long as I am in this body, to stir you up by way of reminder, since I know that the putting off of my body will be soon, as our Lord Jesus Christ made clear to me. What is he referring to? John 21, verse 18. I'll never deny you. Well, you did. And then here's the passage I referred to a little while ago, where Jesus said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you. Jesus praying for Peter, that you may not fail, and when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. You got work to do, even after you fail him. There's this song that we're singing. Oh, I didn't even think to look it up. But it talks about God not letting anyone not letting Satan snatch them out of my hand. And the verse We sing it as a Lord's Supper song, and I just love singing that verse. It's just saturated with Scripture. And here's one of them where Jesus is saying to in his prayer, in his high priestly prayer, not one of them has been lost. In John 10, he talks about how not one of my sheep will be taken. It's not that Jesus is going to lose one of his sheep because of something he did. When you return, Peter. And then this simple statement here in John 21, verse 19, is reminiscent of Luke 5. When Peter bowed down before Jesus, overwhelmed by his greatness, and said, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." What did Jesus say to him? You are going to be no longer catching fish, but you're going to be fishing for men. And they, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, left everything and followed him. What does Jesus say here in John 21 when he basically recommissions Peter? All right, we got all that out of the way. All right, Peter, follow me. Let's keep going. John 21, verse 21. Verse 20. Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following them. We've had constant references to the apostle whom Jesus loved throughout this, or disciple whom Jesus loved throughout this gospel. And it's kind of mystical here. What's going on here? And Peter turns, apparently, and sees John, the one also who had leaned back against him during the supper, and that's referring back to chapter 13, and had said, and that helps us know this is John when we look at the other Gospels. The man who is being talked about here is John. Lord, who is it that is going to betray you? And when Peter saw, that was when they were asking Jesus about that. Verse 21. When Peter sees John, he said to Jesus, Lord, what about this man? You want me to follow you? What about this man? Jesus said to him, if it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me. Don't worry about everybody else. When you listen to a sermon and the preacher's, instead of trying to really encourage you, he's trying to come down hard on you. Even then, we're trying to encourage. We're trying to build us up. And you think to yourself, oh, well, he is really stepping on people's toes. So-and-so across the auditorium, they need to hear this. Is that what the preacher wants? For them over there to hear it? He wants Reuben to hear it. Instead of saying, Rosie really needs to hear this. You, don't worry about everybody else. You follow me. Yes, sir.
So just a quick story here. We're all sick, obviously, but the thing about it is, I have a family member who just happens to be my father. He beats himself so much. Every conversation that I have with him is over an hour long. Up until midnight last night. He just beats himself over and over again for things that he's done 40, 50.
So your dad beats himself up over mistakes he made 40, 50, 60 years ago.
78 years old, and he just beats himself up. You repented for this a long time ago. He blames himself for my laundry and participation. I mean, he just has such a guilty conscience, and it's just so sad to see him still. He needs to get over it.
Does God want us to live with guilty consciences? We make mistakes. Sometimes we make really bad mistakes. You ever talk to somebody who's made a lot of mistakes and they say, I don't see how God could possibly forgive me? We're not God, though. We don't. Yeah, really? Okay, that's what you told them.
If we judge ourselves, we fall in. But thank God I'm not there.
That's right. This concept of follow me is everywhere in the Gospels. Follow me. All the time. Follow me in Luke 5 for sure. Follow me and leave the dead to bury their own dead. Jesus was talking to some folks there. And we'll be looking at Matthew 8 and 9 here in a couple of weeks. Follow me, follow me. That's what Jesus says. You see it here again, just everywhere. Follow me, follow me. What is Jesus saying to us? Follow me. What is the word that refers to followers of Jesus? more than any other term. The term we use today for us as followers of Jesus is what? Christian. Well, what's the word that's most commonly used in the New Testament to describe followers of Jesus? Disciples. And what does it mean to be a disciple? Well, it means to be a follower. A student. In that day and time, students in particular would really be dedicated to a rabbi, to a teacher. And it seems that they didn't necessarily take off work, but the disciples did. They forsook all in order to follow Jesus and be his disciple. Here's a couple more passages where Jesus really challenges us. If anyone would come after me, life's over. It's different forever. Let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. The parallels in Matthew and Mark don't mention that adverb daily. Daily follow me. Here's one more. To another, Jesus said, and this is a special little passage where he's challenging people. He said, Lord, let me go bury my father first. And what did Jesus say to him? I want you to follow me. Oh, I got to go bury my dad first. What did Jesus say? Let the dead bury their own dead. But as for you, you follow me. Oh man, there's more. When Jesus went to Galilee and he found Philip, what did he say to him? Follow me. And then Philip and Bartholomew were following Jesus closely. And he says, what are you seeking? He says, well, where are you staying? He says, come and see. Come and see. He wants us to follow him. Follow him wherever he goes. That song we sing is an invitation song about following Jesus. Where are we going to follow him? When it's easy? All right, I want to be your disciple, Lord. Great. Come on, you be my disciple, and it's going to be great. We stay at Holiday Inns every night. No power loss, that's for sure. It's going to be nice, comfortable beds. It's going to be great. Is that what happened? One person said, I'm going to follow you. And Jesus said, birds of the air have nests and foxes have holes, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. We are called to follow him. And we need to decide, do I love Jesus more than these? I have enjoyed studying several miracles in the Gospel of John with you. We are going to change gears. There are other Gospels that record other miracles. And what's unique about this one in Mark 8 is this is one of two incidents, the only miracle in the Gospel of Mark that is not found in Matthew, Luke, or John. We're going to take a look at that. Thank you for your observation, for your application that you made. Really enjoyed that. And we will conclude and get ready for worship. Thank you.